Hey, it's me, Puppet DM, and I'm here to tell you all about the sponsors we have here at the Wandering Society. We're sponsored here by Mage and Press, makers of a bunch of 5th edition supplements, like the Book of Kobold or their series of new classes. And don't forget, Arcmada, the amazing sci-fi fantasy campaign setting for the world's greatest role-playing game. Be sure to check them out at store.mageandpress.com. Up next, we have Roll20. It's the platform we use here at the Wandering Society to play all of our games. It's easy to use, intuitive, and it now comes with dark mode. Be sure to check them out at roll20.net. We're also sponsored by Telsorian Games. Telsorian Games make great RPGs, and they've been doing so since the early 90s. Check their books. They've got Cyberpunk Red, which Simon tells me has been played here extensively, Castle Falkenstein, which also has been played here, and The Witcher, which has also been... Okay, we get it! Check them out at your FLGS or online at rtelsoriangames.com. Have you ever wanted to wake up and smell the coffee? Well, now you can with this next sponsor, Found Familiar. Get yourself some damn good coffee at foundfamiliar.com and use the code on the screen to get 15% off. What do you mean I can't drink coffee? What the fuck is felt? And we couldn't end this segment without talking about our good friends at Die Hard Dice. That's right. As a Dice affiliate, we are proud to partner with Die Hard Dice to bring you only the best in shiny click-clacks. Click-clacks? What is... Ow. You can check their ever-growing collection over at dieharddice.com and use the link below to get 15% off. You're putting this all on me? I better get a cut. Good evening. The eternal struggle. Imagine, if you will, a world in which every shadow holds a secret. A place so hostile that having eyes in the back of your head is not just a quirk but a necessity. Imagine if beings far older than human memory played games using generations of mortals as pawns, bishops, and knights. How can these beings, so alien to the advances of civilization, to the rapid pace at which kind evolve, plan for every move? To some, lost in the woods, each tree seems planted by design, each shadow under the canopy a sign. But nothing in this world is perfect, omnipotent, omnipresent. The beings from before time, from before the deluge, they make mistakes. They falter. And when the flaws in their game becomes apparent, will you see it for what it is? I am Simon at Wandering DM, and I will be your storyteller for tonight. And now, let us end our 3rd season, shall we? Hey, hello everyone. Welcome, welcome. Guess who forgot to start the music? Whoop. Welcome to season 3, episode 8 of our Montreal by Night Chronicle. No, wait, it's 9. Yeah, tonight is season 9. Finale. And the long-awaited Elysium of October 31st. Before we jump back into our events, we are going to do like a little montage of what's been happening, if there's anything that we need to shed a spotlight on between last we left off, October 27th, 26th, and tonight. But before we do that, I want to introduce the cast to you. We have two very visible vampire tonight, and one who is either not there yet or there but mysteriously invisible. So we'll start with those who are showing their faces. And let's begin with Mr. Pope. Hi.
Hey everybody, Pope here, Pope World Build in social medias, Pope World Build on Twitch. Very happy to be here with the Montreal by Night crew, playing Arthur Porter. Both of us use he, him pronouns, and here's the thing about Elysium. Yes, it is a place to gather, to exchange news, rumors, make connections. But, as is often with the Camarilla, there is always at least one asshole that is going to try and cause a scene or an assassination. And so it is never a good idea to show up. And tonight, a lot of people are showing up on the worst night of the year to show up. And Arthur's not going to be there.
And next, we have someone who will show up at the Elysium. Flory, or I should say, well, Flory will, but Deirdre, hi.
Hey. Yes. Hey, everybody. I'm your friendly neighborhood Prax at Deirdre Dunlin on Twitter. Praxagorth has me for you to see me around here on Twitch. And yeah, Flory is only going to this Elysium because apparently this little princeling can't handle his shit. And, you know, manners are demanding that we present the elder's presence at Elysium. But he doesn't even have a herald. He only has a secretary. She is going to be spending a lot of time getting ready to show up everybody in this room.
And do we have a trooper? Going once, going twice. Dixon is still hidden in a hole somewhere far away from everyone and everything. So to catch everyone up to speed with what's been happening lately, Flory's sire, Casimir Ayers, landed in Montreal with some bad, very bad news. First of all, there was another child of Casimir, one who used to go by the name of Aziz, who was destroyed and on whose body a card for the Hunter's Green in Montreal, the club that belongs to Arthur Porter, was found. So Casimir flew to Montreal to try to investigate into the death of his child, which would be Flory's vampire brother, I guess. Some things were discovered, such as the use of a particularly foul blood ritual that essentially disintegrates the blood inside a person. Not quite the cauldron, which boils it from the inside, but the just utter annihilation of Vitae. Except, well, you went and met with Valois, the in-house, or local, I should say, Tremere subject matter expert. And he explained that the ritual was known mostly by the children of Hakim, more than by the pyramid. And that the way it was done seems like it was more to hide any tracks than to be used as the instrument that killed him, that destroyed Aziz. Meanwhile, Ralphie Lombardi was brought back to Mr. Porter, safe and shaken. And not long after that, Arthur got a call from Folly. Oof, it's hard. From Folly, who just had an accident after seeing what appeared to be a wraith of some such in the middle of the street. It pointed to the house, and Arthur went to have a talk with said house. In a different part of the island, we had Dixon squirreled away somewhere, trying to get his hands on a sniper rifle. And also inquiring as to when and where the Elysium would be. So I will ask of you, Flory and Arthur, for tonight, before we move the clock forward. Of course, that means that the aggravated damage that you took, Flory, will be gone by then. Your body will have healed. Damage that you took playing with Valois' doorframe.
I didn't play with his doorframe.
Huh?
I didn't play with his doorframe, and I attempted to trade in good faith. He did not.
But that was after he gave you all that information on the blood sorcery ritual and all that, just to catch up people watching. And so between October 27th and now, is there anything that your kindred would like to do?
Oh, she's going shopping because she's planning an outfit to show up everyone else at this Elysium and just say, fuck all y'all. You wanna play this game of being nobles and, play this old world game and think that you're hot shit? Let me show you how you play old world game. You thought the Ravnos was just here to kill people. No, the Ravnos is here to we can play this game too. We can do this. And we'll do it better and in better style. Also, I just have to make Betty look bad.
And Mr. Porter?
There has been a flurry of activity. Checking in with the people he cares about most. Having procured some absolutely clear quartz. And pretty much going, hi, keep this on you. If it starts to get cloudy, call me.
Who do you hand those quartz to?
Well, that would be some very, very important people. Some we have seen, some we have not. So Silvio, Ralphie both get a piece of quartz. So does Manager At the green, Michelle Parker and her fiance, Vanessa Mathers. And a professor over at McGill University, Professor Zoe Lambert.
Can you just give me, again, before Professor Lambert, you said who and who?
Michelle Parker and Vanessa Mathers. They're engaged.
I remembered Michelle a little.
Yes.
And Vanessa. Oh, I didn't have a picture for Michelle. Oh, well. This will need to be rectified, though we haven't really seen them yet.
No, but given everything that's going on in the city, yeah.
So you're basically giving those to all of your, like, human contacts, your kind.
Yeah, because things are going to get hinky around here. And nice thing about incredibly clear quartz, at least within certain circles of occult practitioners, when it gets cloudy, that usually means that something's up. And something specifically negative in connotation. As opposed to the breaking of hematite, which can just be as vague as bad vibes. So something a little more specific. Then, some ritual preparation of the haven to make sure the wards are reinforced, making sure that he's going on a nightly stroll around the Lively, become more of a public face, as well as arranging, because it's basketball season. And so...
Not quite super popular up here, but yeah.
I'll tell you who it's popular with. People who bet. So, arranging a viewing party at Silvio's for Halloween. So I have a airtight alibi.
You want a lot of witnesses.
A significant number of witnesses, yes. That way, there can be no question as to where I was and when I was. But also, there is a care package that is delivered to Flory.
Oh.
Yes. Lovely thing about Florida, around the time the Vietnam War sprung out, little known fact, it was the American military's one of the premier places where you could get napalm. So you get some.
I can fit that in my dress.
You get 2 gallons of it.
That's a little harder to fit in my dress.
2 gallons of napalm?
Yeah. It's enough to deliver a message.
Yes, it's kind of hard to hide on one's person, though.
You say that I've got skills.
You don't hide it. You deliver it. Like Santa Claus.
You say that, but I have a plan for that dress. And the way that dress is constructed, it is a very nice dress. And yes, also the jewelry is all intentional. So yes, I can get probably a couple ounces of napalm in. Not 2 gallons, but...
No. It would, I'm going to tell you right away, though, it will trigger like constant frenzy checks. Because fire.
Only if it's lit.
It's on your person.
Yeah, but it's not lit.
Lit.
No. True. It's just the
I mean, it's like carrying around.
It would be the equivalent of carrying around, like, gasoline. Yeah, it won't trigger it all the time, but there will be like a background worry, if you will, by the beast who knows that, you know.
Yeah, that's
At the-
why it's going to be in very tasteful accoutrement that is removable.
Yeah, but also if you
Going to
need
leave
to
the
make
rest
it,
of it in the RV.
if you need to make a fiery exit, there you go.
However, there
appreciate-
is something that I'm gonna have to ask for Arthur, though,
Okay.
because
What would you like?
smuggling napalm into
Oh,
the
you
city.
think I'm smuggling? I'm making this. This is
Oh, you're
this
making
is-
it at home. Okay, I thought you had it like.
no. I have a full suite of chemicals and
Hmm.
an entire medical center in my haven.
Well, then the role
I
would be
can-
different.
I can brew up some napalm. That ain't hard. Hell, I could do it right now, Mr. FBI man. It's not hard.
Then could you?
Some of us could do it
yeah,
and
with
have
stuff at
done it
home.
with stuff at home. Don't.
Yeah.
This is not us recommending that you
No,
make napalm
No,
at home.
but yeah,
But-
you can make quick and easy, cheap. Anyway, I saw things about when the fighting started in Ukraine. But could you just make me intelligence and science, please?
oh, but of course.
And I will need that, and for the quartz that you made and all the
Mhm.
rituals.
Preparations.
Yeah. If you can also give me int and occult.
Well, I'm
And-
actually going to make sure that this is good napalm, so I'm going to rouse the blood
Okay.
on that one. So get some bonuses there.
Actually, give me just 2 seconds. It might not be science. I might change it to craft.
Oh, well, by all means.
Yes, it would be craft.
Okay.
Science would be to know it, but craft would be to make it.
Still rouse the blood.
Yeah, no worries.
What's the difficulty?
Let's see.
As somebody who has been a stagehand in real life, this ain't hard.
Um,
I mean,
I
Hell,
would say
you can even make it so that you can take actual like potatoes and make a capsule where you can fire it from a potato gun, and then as it bursts in the air, it will disperse.
I would say let's go with because I'm looking here at like some of the gear, and I would say in this case, let's go with just the difficulty 2.
Okay. There we go. 2 and 2.
2 successes. All right. It is enough for, let's call it a use, like a one grenade or container. One
container of napalm.
Yeah. A container that can
Yeah.
be transported, on a person.
Okay. Now, occult and what for the
Int.
occult? Int.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'll determine how well made or how reactive they're going to be, I should say.
I'll even spend the willpower for that.
All right.
Okay, so 4 successes.
4 successes. All right. Then what we'll do is I will make you choose. You have 5 quartz that you've given to 5 different kind. one of
Yeah.
them will be, let's say, a little more flawed than the 4 others. Like, has a chance of malfunctioning. Who do you give the
risky one? I'll
Yeah.
give it to Silvio since I see him most often.
Okay.
Also, he's older. He's lived a good life. If something bad happens, I don't feel too bad.
He's outlived his... I was going to say outlived his usefulness. Not necessarily, but if it comes to
No.
that,
Well, again,
you
it's...
can train a replacement.
I don't want to, but again, it's one of those things that's already on the to-do list. Like, he's no spring chicken.
And so those, all in all, will have taken you like a good couple of nights.
Yeah, that's what I've been keeping up with.
All right. For the night of the Elysium, so we will go in and assume that over the course of those nights, both of you kept fed and had your hunger in check. But for tonight, as we start the session, could you roll your rouse check for the night, please?
Certainly.
That's actually on brand.
And
That
everyone
makes sense.
is a little peckish. Just for fun, someone is quite peckish. So that said, the sun set. Really? Players, would you give me 2 seconds?
Yes. Well, pet-sized emergencies are likely to be being dealt with. It's getting everybody together. That's what it is. As soon as I wake up, and just getting ready for hopefully an incredibly quiet night.
You want a quiet night.
It would be preferable.
I'm sure it would.
Yes, this cat is the embodiment of accept no substitutes. It's not enough that cat gave him food. It had to be me. I had to shake the bowl. I had to be next to him. And otherwise I would have had someone biting at my ankle this whole stream. So sorry about that. Fancy kittens aside, we'll move to Fancy Kindred. And as we have on the one side, the Sylvia was more of a restaurant than a bar, right? They have their liquor license,
Yeah.
but it's more of a restaurant.
It's more of a restaurant. They've got nice sized TVs to put on, the fights, games, etc.
Yeah, and tonight people line up and just fill the entire space. There's noise, there's cheers, chatter, laughs, the ding of cutlery and dishware, and the shouting from the kitchen. And on the other side of the island, or I should say, not that far away, but more like downtown, Flory, you were given the instructions on how to get to the Elysium. Basically, the location this time, since something happened at Le Jungle, you get the feeling that they don't want anyone to necessarily know where exactly it is. And so they've asked Kindred to reach a specific subway station called Square Victoria, which is downtown and is close to where the princess court is, basically, and close to the Hunter's Green, actually, within a few blocks of the Hunter's Green. They told Kindred, you are all told to go to the ticket booth and ask the person there directions for a place called the Rollis Lounge. That is all that you know. And so I would like to ask you, do you go to this subway station from topside, or do you actually take the subway to get there?
Yes and no. Because what Flori did is the night before, she got a room at the Ritz-Carlton again. On purpose. So she spent the day at the Ritz-Carlton and then got ready at the Ritz.
Mm-hmm.
To make sure that she's seen leaving and looking pinnacle. She had a cousin overnight a dress from 2 weeks ago, from Versace's fall 2014 Ulterior line runway show, that she then spent a couple hours modifying so that she could put a couple pockets where it was necessary for, a couple knives, apparently some napalm, a gun, lockpicks, bobby pins, fashion tape, everything else a woman going out, on a high fashion evening would need. It's this stunning kind of three-piece ensemble with like a very high collared neckline, and the dress kind of comes across this undershirt, and then there's a high-low long piece of the skirt that flounces out, but it also has pants with one leg and beautiful Prada heels that she's wearing with this, and these very stunning Cartier Panthère diamond and sapphire hoops. Stunning. And she wants to make a point of being seen, getting in the car, like greeting, and she and Casimir would probably have arranged this, greeting Casimir as if he's picking her up and they're going out and going to do something. And so they would drive away from the Ritz, take a couple turns around, and then enter the subway system unseen, because they're both Ravnos and they both have unseen passage, and you can't hear them and you can't see them, so they're just going to walk into the shuttle and then walk up to the subway and then talk to the ticket agent, just kind of like a mere merge from the shadows, unseen.
So the one thing about Square Victoria and where it is, mostly because of its proximity to the train terminal and one of the probably busiest subway station in Montreal, is that there's a lot of people. And there's a lot of people dressed in all manners of attire. Like, you are definitely better dressed than everyone else here. Kind. Well, for the most part, it seems that it's all kind. There are no faces that you recognize just coming and going. But it's not surprising to have, like, let's say, visitors to the city trying to find a certain area. You are near
the Ritz. You are near the Bell Center. You are like everything is within 5-10 minutes, including Dorchester Square, including what was once the seat of power of the spot. And so as you ask the ticketing agent, she's probably a early, maybe to mid 30s woman. She's just wearing this like loose t-shirt with the logo of the like Montreal, the STM, basically the Service de Transport, the Montreal Transport Services. And she looks completely disillusioned by her work, completely jaded, and basically just mumbles the same questions over and over until they get to you and Casimir. And when you ask for the Rollis Lounge, she just raises like an eyebrow.
She will, before she says that, she'll compliment her nails. Because it doesn't matter who they are. Every MTA transit worker, ticket agent I have ever met has had the best nails. Probably because that's about the only thing that they can, they have to wear all the uniform stuff all the time. So it's the only
There's no jewelry, no nothing. Yeah, and hers you notice are like well made.
Mm-hmm.
But also how can I put that? Probably filed into the shape they have. Like it's not just like acrylics that were put on to look like almost like claws. So you get the feeling that those are the actual nails, painted, bedazzled. Like two of them have a little gem on it, on the ring fingers, on each ring finger, but it doesn't look like they're fake. And she just, as you compliment her on the nails, she just mumbles, you're like, oh, yeah, thank you. And then when you ask, her demeanor sort of changes. She raises an eyebrow and looks up from the counter where it's just like this haphazard puzzle of ticket stubs and plastic cards and all that. And she squints a little and looks at you, at Casimir. Do both of you have the Blush of Life on?
Probably.
Okay.
Right? Like, because yeah,
that's true. Okay, I remembered you saying you don't want to be seen going into the metro, but yes, you were seen at the hotel and everything, so.
Yeah, it's like we don't want to be seen entering the metro, but at the hotel, and yeah.
So she looks up at the two of you and says, the Rollis Lounge is not a place that exists. Are you sure you got the right name, Miss
Winters, Florica? Yes, and she would go, well, that's what God, this is Deirdre screwing up. What's his actual first name?
Who, the prince?
Martin.
That's
what Marty said, right?
You see that, like, in all of the stubs that she has, she very quickly, like, rearranges them. They're just numbers, really. But she rearranges them, like, in an order that seems to make sense to her. And then she picks one and hands it over to you. And says, you need to go down the hall that way. You will reach a closed off section. there shouldn't be. She looks at your dress and says, "There shouldn't be any water damage, or any muck of the sort. You'll find a janitor there. Guy by the name Gaston. He's the bouncer for the Roller's Lounge. Have a good evening."
And she'll
then
slide
she
a
mixes
20.
the tickets again.
She'll
Oh.
slide a 20 through the thing and just walk away.
She pockets it like a squirrel would a nut.
Yeah. Just because they're bad at everything doesn't mean I can't tip well. She's letting Casimir go first for multiple reasons. Not the least of which is this dress. It's a lot of dress. There is volume in this dress.
Yeah, and he's trying to make sure, basically, he's like following a path of the least dirty tiles.
Oh yeah, she's like, I'm just sending this all out. It's gonna get cleaned. I might bill it in, it's running commentary in her head. It's like, I'm just gonna send them a bill for this. Sending him the dry cleaning bill. But she has Sense Beast up and active. We're not in the Elysium. And
Nope.
it's a passive anyways.
And while you do not sense danger,
Mm-hmm.
every kind that you've passed in that corridor. So basically, the corridor, what it is so this station, for all of you listeners, this station is part of the Montreal Underground. So it's part of our underground city. It connects to a bunch of other places. And some of these tunnels are less popular than others because there are other ways to get to certain places. Like, for instance, you can get from Square Victoria to Bonaventure, the train terminal. But the detour is such that you might as well just go by the surface. You go topside and then you cross like a couple streets and you go down Bonaventure. Almost easier, unless it's raining, snowing, or yada yada. So some of these corridors normally they don't see a lot of traffic. You will be by yourself, and true story, depending on what time of night you are, it might just be yourself and one person who smells oddly of like gasoline and cheap alcohol. Who might or might not have been alive. This time, you meet about like half a dozen kind, and each of them resonates with the beast just a little. All of them servants, ghouls, or what have you. You don't think any of them are thin blood. They would ping a little more, like Alex does. They all keep to themselves. No one talks to you. No one addresses you. From time to time, some people will just like look up, just because, let's face it, you and Casimir do draw a lot of attention. The kind that you see passing here, by the way, none of them are dressed for a black tie or formal event. None of them are dressed to go anywhere but the metro or home. And as you make your way, not only do you see them pass by you, but some you see them in the distance, like coming back around, as if they're just like making a fairly large loop through the tunnels.
So can I gauge their patrol route and how big of a hole there might be in the security net? As if I was possibly breaking it in.
Yeah, what you without a check, just because of your specialty and all that, they're not there for security reason. Not there for your security.
Of course
They're
not.
probably just there to flag, like, if there is a lost kind that wanders by, to just deal with that. but they are not there to... They're not patrolling a perimeter. They're holding a semblance. They're holding a masquerade. They're holding a semblance of normalcy to the place so that, if other mortals were to see some peculiarly dressed folks heading towards a place, like, you don't want to have someone who would make the mistake of maybe trying to mug one of you on the way there. It's not for your security, it's more so to keep some semblance of normalcy.
Mm-hmm.
And to make sure that only those in the know, quote unquote, travel through the tunnel. And the thing is maybe like 3/4 of the way in, you see the place that's been cordoned off. You've got that, those orange cones, those little plastic signs that say, the floor is wet. And there's even like a tarp hiding a section of the wall. It's slightly ajar. And you can hear someone inside just whistling a jaunty tune. And Casimir looks at you and says, well, of all the secret entrances, they could have chosen one that was less back alley deal.
And she'll look at him and go, what? You don't love to relive your misspent youth?
Yes, but this feels a lot like... The GM needs to search something. I don't want to say something that's wrong. This feels a lot like Paris in the 30s.
I was just
30s.
Look, we all know Paris in the 1830s was not a great place to be.
No, but I have the feeling that I need to, scurry with the rats. Otherwise, someone's gonna have my head.
If I have to start singing, I expect to be paid. I'd make a killer Fantine.
Did they promise any entertainment tonight?
Depends on who you ask. There are even odds that somebody's going to get possessed by a house.
Yeah, that's not going to happen here. At least I hope this house of Arthur doesn't have enough powers to affect us here.
I took the reasonable precautions in advance anyways.
Well, I'm constantly on alert, and I fully intend to disappear at the first sign of trouble.
Oh, good. That was what I hoped.
He holds the tarp open after you.
Thank you.
And the other side... Oh, no, go ahead.
She'll take a second before she'll go through and just ensure that there is a way she can get underneath this tarp without that tarp touching the dress. Like, that is it. Yeah,
he makes sure to hold it, open enough.
She is
As he
significantly
can.
shorter. He is
Mhm.
significantly shorter than he is, so it is possible to do. But it
Yeah,
is
but
a
it's
lot
also
of
a
stress.
width thing. Yeah, it's a width thing with the dress. And he tries as best as he can. On the other side, after about 2 to 3 feet, the tiling changes. It's a lot cleaner, more modern. It's not those brownish I was gonna say brick tiles, but it's not really brick tiles. I can see them, I can picture them in my head. I've never had to actually describe them.
They're 70s
But-
subway tiles.
Basically, yeah. Except these ones inside, yeah, are much more modern, clean, same sort of color palette still, so that at first glance, no one sees anything. And there is indeed a janitor there, an older fella, big dark bags under his eyes like he hasn't slept in weeks. His skin hangs onto his skull. He even has the sort of like the turkey neck, if you will, of someone who's lost an enormous amount of weight very quickly. He's wearing an oversized coveralls.
Vitae, it's a hell of a drug.
It's brown grayish. Yeah, he seems to be in not in withdrawal anymore. More like he must have decided to quit cold turkey. Or it was withheld from him long enough that he's no longer. He doesn't look like someone who is still craving it. Like, he doesn't look like he's going to attack any vampire that comes in. More that he's now this sort of almost drone-like in his behavior. And he sees you come in and just says in a broken English and a broken French the phrase, "You're not supposed to be here." But he hands out a hand, like, instead of stopping you with putting his hand up to stop you from coming forward, he extends the hand out as if he's waiting for you to give him something.
And she'll give him the whatever the ticket agent gave her, like the piece of paper.
Okay. And we'll transition over to a different place on the island. Not Silvio's. It's a dark place. It's been a few days, a few nights. Dixon, what have you been up to for these past 4 nights between our last session and now?
Well, I have been checking my dead drop to see if I got any word from Folly about if there was any place to see the prince or directions to the Elysium.
So, she would have told you 2 things. Normally, the prince holds his court at the 1000 Gauchetière, which is, ironically, when I kept talking about Bonaventure and the train terminal, that's the building, the skyscraper that the terminal is under. He apparently holds court on the 50th some odd floors. Basically what you would call penthouse, but it's not really penthouse because those are offices. The Elysium will not be held there. Though you can meet with the prince before the Elysium, that's what Folly tells you, except this week. Apparently he's been unavailable the whole week in preparation for what was coming up. The Elysium, she tells you, you need to go to a metro station, Square Victoria, and ask the ticketing agent directions to the Rollis Lounge.
I spoke to Lindy about this, and she said that she would speak to the person at the booth and get the directions on our way to the human Halloween party, which would be go in and talk to so-and-so, which I suppose he would get those directions and think.
She would tell you, though, that the ticketing lady gave her a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
She can hand it over to you, but she has no idea what it's supposed to be.
Hearing that the event is happening in the underground, he goes, and he goes back to his haven because there's nothing he can do.
Okay. But that would be tonight.
Yeah.
The 4 nights, I just want to make sure that we're not skipping you over. Have you done anything between the 27th and tonight?
No, just checking the dead drops and staying low. He's got 3 Archons hunting him, and just checking his messages. But getting his last message from Folly, he would probably. He's not going to go back into his haven because it's a whole big rigmarole, but he'll probably go and sort of lurk not too far from there, like on a park bench, so that if anything goes down and he's needed, he'll know. But if this thing is underground, he's not getting eyes on the prince, so he's not going to go to his. He's not going to find a sniper location. He will sort of stay again somewhere where he would not normally be found, where there are not people, and he'd sort of sit, just in case something happens. And he's needed. Probably not, but just in case. And then at the end of the evening, he'll go into his haven.
I have a question for you. You say you want to be in a place that you don't normally frequent. Area-wise, is it somewhere downtown, somewhere closer to the mountain?
No, probably east. He'd want to be in a place where kindred are not. Where they certainly not Camarilla territory, some kind of like one of the unclaimed spaces, not in Artie's territory, not in the Anarch territory, not in the Camarilla territory. Probably
the east end of the
unhoused people are.
Yeah, the east end of the island is. It's not that it's unclaimed. Like there are probably. There might be vampires there. There might be kindred living there. The thing is, if they are, they've never shown up to any Anarch gathering or the Ivory Tower or anything of the sort. This is basically from. So there's one of the, let's call it the easternmost highway that crosses the island. So east of there, it starts with Saint Leonard. And it goes to the tip of the island. This is where you're going to. Let's consider this part closer to suburbs almost in what it looks like. The feel is very much. There is a big industrial area.
Yeah. So I hear southeast is not the best neighborhood.
It's southeast depending on where. So the thing is, because the island is sort of placed diagonally, what we call the east end of the island is actually the northeast as a cardinal direction, right? So Montreal Nord, in reality, is not really north, because it's not like the northernmost part of the island. It's like, yes, it's north, but it's also like northwest, if you will. It's kind of weird when you have an island that's shaped like an L, and that the L is diagonal. It's more like a V. But all that to say, the this entire area, so this is east of Montreal Nord, so beyond your old territory.
I was thinking the very southern part, because I was looking at bad neighborhoods in Montreal, and apparently the far south tip of the island and to the east was not the best
What's
area.
the name? Because if you're thinking Hochelaga, which is a bad neighborhood, it is not like far east of the island, on the island itself. It's relatively closer to downtown. Like, what I meant by far east that no one has been to, let's just say the subway doesn't reach there at all. Like, unless you have a car, you're not. There are buses, not as many. Like I said, it resembles more the suburbs. So otherwise, if you're closer to downtown, then yeah, there's a section, but that section would also be close to Anarch territory and to your old territory. And then it's because the other places that I know of, and the reason why I'm asking, it's just so that relative to where everybody else is, if something was to happen, how long would it take for you to get anywhere? This is mostly why I'm asking.
Yeah, I always heard like LaSalle.
Oh, that's west. Yeah, okay.
Never eat shredded wheat. Like,
What?
that's east. Never eat it's like that's how I remember directions.
Oh,
Never eat shredded wheat.
yeah, okay. That's a funny way to remember it. But this is like the south side of the island. LaSalle.
Yeah, that's right. So like south, and I suppose more eastern than western, if western is like Beaconsfield, Kirkland, that sort of a thing.
Yeah, east you would go back to Verdun, basically, and this is an area that we have seen you in before.
Yeah, but not that far north, on the very, very south part, like LaSalle, L'Île d'Orval, Lachine.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know. Okay, so you're very much by the river.
Yeah.
So technically, getting anywhere to where the other players are, it's going to take for sure more than a half hour.
Oh yeah, because I'm walking, but I can't be too close because there's too many kindred there, and this is a place where I can kind of sit in a,
Yeah, walking it would take you like probably a good 2 hours, maybe a bit less, but because you don't need to breathe and you don't get tired, but still, it's a good like 6-ish miles, and that's to get to Flory. So that said, with you hiding in plain sight,
like sitting in an alley where unhoused people are, that kind of a thing.
mm-hmm. a very Spawn-like move.
Because otherwise I wouldn't get cell service.
Oh, yeah. Yes. And so with that, we have our coterie split into 3. Arthur in a very lively place. Dixon outside with... There's a few houseless people here in the alley. 3 of them are like talking together. Sometimes their pitch changes for no apparent reason. They seem to be either on the verge of partying, fighting, arguing. It runs the whole gamut. But the good thing for you is that these 3 are by the entrance of the alley, or one of the 2 entrances, so that if anyone was to move past them, they would definitely make enough noise, enough of a racket, that they would get your attention, if you so choose.
And I just plan my exit strategy in case I'm tracked down by one of the 3 archons. You know, like, they're coming. What's the best way out? You know, do I need to climb up? Just in case? I mean, like in some kind of squalid place, so the chances are low, and there's an Elysium, but just in case.
Okay. And so we go back to Miss Winters, with the janitor holding his hand out.
She'll just gesture to Casimir, because Casimir is the one who's holding everything. Like,
He gets the ticket out, of his pocket, hands it over, and just says, "I'm her +1." And the janitor takes the ticket, gets a little mag light out of his coverall pocket, shines it on the ticket very quickly. You notice that there's a wow, it's a black light, so there's like not a reflective, but a shiny little symbol on it. It's just a circle, just a regular circle, but it appears, and immediately clicks the flashlight off, puts it back in his pocket, puts the ticket in the other. It's this way, please. Puts his mop back in the bucket, and brings you. So this little room you were in beyond the tarp, there's like this little square. It's like probably used to be a break room for the workers. There's a row of lockers, a little table, no chairs. There's an old coffee machine that is now filled with cobweb and mold. And past the lockers is a door with a sign for like toilets. And when he opens it and motions you to follow, those are not restrooms. This is a rather gothic looking archway with a staircase that leads down.
Okay, this is an important question, because it will entirely determine her next action. Are these metal stairs or stone stairs?
They are stone stairs.
Casimir, she is leaning on Casimir's arm.
They are surprisingly, as you step down, they are surprisingly level and dry.
That's not the point. They're stone steps.
Yeah, it's gonna ruin your heels, I guess.
No, it doesn't matter about that. I don't want to break an ankle.
Oh. They're wide enough, but still, it looks like the place was recently renovated. The style is kept, but you can see from time to time chips in stones or entirely missing blocks have been replaced by newer that they probably come from the same quarry or something similar, same type of stone, but there's a discoloration due to the age and just ravages of time. And this staircase goes down about like 20 steps in a straight line before curving around, going down another 20 steps. And as you round the bend, the janitor will leave you there, and you can hear coming from downstairs the sounds of voices. people chatting. You recognize some of those voices. You are fairly certain that you recognize Betty's voice for sure. You are fairly certain you heard. It might have been Alex. Could have also been Folly. Voice is kind of a little distorted with the echo, but it's high-pitched enough. No one's being particularly loud. There's no laughter, but just the construction of the space makes it so that sound reverberates. At least up until here, and you realize you should have also heard it before you rounded the bend. Like, the way this place is made, the way this, let's call it a catacomb for now, is built, like, you should have heard it even while you were with the janitor. There is something at work here that makes it so that it's only by the time you round the bend of the staircase that sounds hits you.
Before she continues forward, she's going to pull out her phone.
Mhm.
Does she have signal at this point?
It is a 1 bar.
She's going to back up to where the sound is no longer.
Like a few steps up.
Yeah.
It is still 1 bar.
Okay. And she's going to text Artie. Red flag. Magical soundproofing. No signal. And she'll wait until it goes through, but not long enough for a response.
Oh, it's fairly quick. If it's a short message,
Yeah.
it goes through rather quickly. You get the feeling that calls are
Won't go
probably
through.
not going to go through, and that anything in the megabyte range is not going to go through. At least not easily.
Yeah. Then she might wait like 30 seconds to see if there's an answer.
Well, let's ask Mr. Porter, is there an answer?
Mystical soundproofing is nothing new. But mystical soundproofing is nothing new. That's an old trick. But be careful. If they're adding mystical security, that means Sid is most definitely in the prince's pocket.
Oh, I think they took Sabat and repurposed it.
What?
And that's when she leaves. You said that it looked like they repaired a bunch of stuff, and she knows what they've been doing underground. She just looks at Casimir and goes, mm-hmm. And she's been, like, as they've been walking down, pointing, like suddenly pointing out places, because he's just as good as she is. He's older and a little bit better probably than she is at certain things. And, just occasionally pointing out like, yep, that looks like it's been repaired. This looks like they just decided to take a Sabat cathedral. Well, fuck.
Casimir will just lean over. He's still in the other, past the bend, right? So he just leans back to you and says, everything all right?
Mystical soundproofing. Looks like they've just repurposed their Sabat hideout. What do you figure the odds are now? I had 60-40 going in. I'm going down the 80-20 now.
If this used to be a Sabat place, they did one hell of a job to clean it.
I mean, look at the new masonry work on top of old.
Yeah. Again, I'm gonna keep my eye on the doors. And I'm really hoping there's more than one.
I'm sure we can make a second. Or an eighth. Is like, she goes, time to go beard the lion in his den?
Yeah, let's do this and then maybe go grab a bite.
Hmm.
And when you reach down the stairs, so it's another like 10, 12 steps, another stone archway, and you enter a circular room. The GM had it prepared, but he lost it. Gonna take me just a second. Boop. It's sort of like an underground tower, almost. An amphitheater, if you will. When you go in, you notice that the chamber itself has stairs on each side that leads to a
Balcony?
no, not balcony, a mezzanine. A mezzanine that surrounds the room. And you can, in the dim light, I'll get back to the lighting, but in the dim light, you can see other stairs leading up to probably like a second floor. Right now, those stairs, though, are watched by two. If they are kindred, you've never seen them. They look like they have the blush of life. But it's two beefed up gentlemen, one on each side. They look almost identical. They could pass for brothers, probably not twins, but brothers definitely. Bald, with a sort of big nose that's been broken more than once. A pronounced jawline that is easy to see even despite the low light. The lighting, by the way, before I get into the other guest, on this floor is just candles. On ledges around the room, those old, like, votive candles have been probably burning for hours now because none of them look new. Most of them are already at half size. There's enough to give everyone not the heebie-jeebies, but enough to give everyone a sense of of presences, I should say. You can see that there are people. You can't necessarily see who they are unless you get a little closer. So that means that, every vampire has their own little shadowy corner if they want to. The mezzanine itself is lit up by the same candles, though there's a little more of them on the mezzanine, and they seem to form this like path from the staircase to the other staircase where the two, let's call them bouncers for now, are placed. Down here, the circular floor of the room has a lot of grooves in them. Indents that all seem to gather around a central point, sort of a drain. if you will. It's been sealed off, but the small denivelation in the room, the way the grooves are set, this is clearly to drain blood out of whatever happens. There seems to have been a lot of things hanging either from the walls or the ceiling, as there are these metal like U's, kind of half of a link of a chain, right? Or hooks. And nothing that looks like meat hook or anything, but things that clearly could have held like chandeliers or something else, torches or what have you. There were bas-relief on the walls, and they've been sanded or smashed or patched over. It looks like someone basically inherited a Gothic catacomb and decided to just remove any religious symbol or imagery from it.
And Flory is just gonna look at Casimir and say, if Auntie Entity shows up, at least we'll have good musical accompaniment.
Casimir is looking at the entire room and says, You know, this is the most spacious tomb I've been in like years.
You're hanging out in tombs again. That says a lot right there.
I don't feel as claustrophobic as I thought I would, but I'm just going to remain about here. And he motions like within arm's reach of the door. As you can see, there are, except for the two other staircases, there are no exits except the one you came in from.
Yeah. And she'll lean in and just like subtly whisper, or just subtly in Roma say, Tata, we don't need to do a full Thunderdome. We can leave now.
Let's just do things by their book. Maybe if I ingratiate myself, or I don't mean ingratiate. That's too strong.
I was about to ask if you were feeling okay.
No, maybe if I make my presence at least known and I keep it polite, perhaps your princeling is not going to object to my investigation in here. Because that's the whole point. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Aziz.
And if she is here?
Well, then there's only one exit that we need to cover.
All right.
Speaking of she is here, she with a capital S is not here. But also she with a lowercase s is not here. So the voice you thought was Betty is not Betty Duhamel. In fact, Betty is not in the room. The person that has a voice, or had a voice very similar, was one you recognize from way back when this entire chronicle started. The woman of mystery, Lydia Moscato, who had just vanished after the first quote-unquote Elysium. She has gathered a little crowd of kindred around her, and she is quite clearly making imitations of Betty, to the more or less amusement of the little crowd she has gathered around her. There are a lot of people, though, in the periphery who clearly find it distasteful. Her little crowd of people, by the way, include Sid, who's there. It includes another kindred that you haven't seen yet. I know there's a name for, I think it's wheat colored hair. It's like not quite ginger, not quite blonde, just
Strawberry blonde.
yeah, strawberry blonde. Thank you. Strawberry blonde, short hair. It's not a comb over, but that they're like styled in this sort of
They look like an accountant.
windswept. Huh?
They look like an
No,
accountant.
No. It's more like purposeful bed hair. They look like well, in fact, they look like, let me just reveal their image in Legend Keeper. If you look under the Camarilla, there is a person called Philippe Ducharme. Young man, currently not dressed as the image that you will see for him.
We call that bro.
I guess, yeah, bro hair. It looks a little too long in my mind for bro hair, but he looks like he's in his late 20s. You've never seen him before in Montreal. Right now, just dressed in what is most definitely just a rented tux. It doesn't quite fit him. Maybe he didn't have the time, maybe he didn't have the means. But there's him there. There is Sid with him. And oddly enough, there's have you seen a one-armed man? I'm trying to remember.
No, but I'll be happy to keep an eye out for,
Is he
Tommy
our
Lee Jones.
one-armed man, or is this a new one-armed man?
No, it's your one-armed man, but I'm trying to remember, has Flory seen Antonio?
He was at the meeting.
Yeah.
He was at the meeting, yeah, that's true. So Antonio is there, laughing a little nervously at Lydia's performance.
Yes, he should.
And casting glances to the entrance all the time. In those that are around that don't seem to enjoy that little show are two women, younger, probably early 20s. They're both wearing these black dresses, identical black dresses. Do you remember
The twins, like the sisters.
Yeah, have you
The
met?
ones that,
Yeah, that we were at the other Elysium.
yeah, the ones that pawned off weed as a gift.
Yes. Yes.
I'm surprised they were allowed back.
But not only are they allowed back, but they are there and dressed a lot more formal. So it's this sort of like chain link black dress that has like straps that go above the shoulder, but there are also like two gold chains that leave from the cleavage around the neck. Both of them identical, which would be normally kind of a faux pas in a soiree like that.
I look
There's,
better than they do.
on the second floor, you can see the vague shape of a winged humanoid keeping to himself. Then in that place, on the first floor, there is also Jimmy, that you recognize, younger, bald, he's the only one who is not dressed for the occasion. You get a feeling that he'll probably dart off immediately. He's wearing these wide, like harem pants almost, in style, and a just like a waistcoat unbuttoned. Looks like he's dressed for a Halloween party that has nothing to do with this place. But he keeps to himself, and he seems to just take stock of the candles, the people coming in, and just generally acting like almost like a watchdog. There's another person in the shadows. You've seen him at the First Elysium, so Carl Johnson is also there. I say in the shadows because he's not purposefully trying to hide. No one is purposefully trying to hide, but he is discussing with one Caleb Duval. And I believe I am missing... Valois is not here at the moment. And that is it. Those are all the guests that have arrived so far. The room, by the way, is wide enough that it could comfortably accommodate maybe like 50 people before you start thinking it's a little overcrowded. When you... After you've spoken to Casimir, you'll notice that the sheriff just looks over to you, nods, but then goes back to his like focused attention on Mr. Johnson. Casimir leans over again and goes, "Is it me or is this lacking in decorum?"
Well, the sheriff's over there talking to a nobody. There's no one of note here. They don't have a herald, and I'm convinced we're all going to burn to death. It's just a little insulting to decorate everything with, candles. So, no, I'm not. I'm gonna... You and I are both in the agreement that there's no decorum here.
Normally there's... Not that I want to, but... isn't the herald supposed to announce our names?
Well, they don't have a herald, Tata. Remember I told you they only have a secretary?
Then isn't she supposed to take note? Where is this secretary, anyway?
Maybe upstairs, I don't know. I haven't seen anyone around. Do you want me to introduce you to the sheriff? Or we can just hide here in the corner and wait until they totally screw up.
And before he's done his sentence, or almost as you say this, Antonio breaks away from Lydia and approaches the two of you. It's good to see a familiar face here.
Antonio?
Flory? Who's this?
Casimir. This is Antonio. Antonio. This is Casimir. Relatives. We're obeying their little rules for now. Has the secretary made her presence known yet?
Oh, no, this is like the, I guess it's the waiting room.
Really?
There's something going on upstairs. Couple of us, I wasn't there, I didn't want to be among the first. I would rather be elsewhere, but I might be able to smooth things over tonight, so that I'm taking a huge risk. Is Lucky with you? Is he coming?
No, he had to do some business for himself.
But he's still around.
Yes.
Okay. I left him a message nights ago, and he hasn't made his presence known, so I thought maybe something happened. There are Archons.
I will note that Dixon left a message for him the same day. They left a message for each other the same day. But I don't think he ever went and got them.
He never went and got it. Out of game, he never went and got it after. He left his and expected you to show up, basically. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah, they showed up, and then the prince went upstairs with a few other people, Valois among them.
Valois, the Archons, and the prince went upstairs, you say?
Well, he turns to Lydia and just goes, Miss Moscato, who else was there when you arrived? And she breaks away from Sid and comes to you and basically will explain so that I don't have a conversation as all the NPCs at the same time. But Lydia will explain that she was among the first to get here tonight because she wanted to be among the first to leave. And this was supposed to be just a sort of... the room, she means, is just like a temporary space. The actual Elysium is above ground. But she was halfway through climbing up the stairs that some, I guess, gathering of toreadors happened. And basically pretty much all the roses in Montreal just went upstairs. With the exception of New Blood over there. And she points to the guy with bro hair. Philippe, I think his name is. Anyway. The point is, they just shoved us all back down here, so technically this isn't an Elysium, and I'm not doing anything wrong.
Really? And she'll look at Casimir and smile.
Casimir will look up his sheet. Casimir will just nod and smile a little. And suddenly you notice his eyes begin to change a bit as he adapts to the area, the lighting.
Well, if all the roses have made their way upstairs, and the gardener's down here, gesturing to the sheriff, right? It feels a little rude, doesn't it? I mean, just a tad.
The way I see it, Lydia continues, unless they stay in their little clubhouse until the sun rises, I guess technically it is still tonight. She looks at her watch. Well, they still have about less than an hour before it's no longer the 31st. And then there will have been no Elysium on the 31st. I have places to be, you know? And, I don't like to be kept waiting.
Mm. She's going to maneuver. So Flory and Casimir have definitely worked rooms before, and Flory knows that Casimir has a lot better physical senses than she does and can do about things. So she's going to work herself and the full drama that is this dress, which she is officially the best dressed person in this Elysium at the moment. Yay. Not that it was hard, but... And she's going to position herself so that she becomes the center of attention without using awe. Although, if necessary, she might let it pop, but not yet, right? Like, she wants to draw attention to herself to let Casimir start to slowly fade into the background and get as much information about the situation as he wants. Also, she's going to ensure that she is not standing anywhere on top of what could be, at any point, that drain.
Okay. It's in the, like, dead center of the room. And it's not...
but none of those grooves do not work well with heels.
Oh, no. Like, it's easy, I was gonna say it's in the dead center, and it's about like 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet, so it's easy to go around it if you need to move from one side of the room to the next. It doesn't take as much room as as it could and or should, depending on the amount of blood that was spilled here normally.
Yeah.
Casimir is going to hang out by himself for a little while, chat a bit with Antonio, Lydia, then begin to, like, counterclockwise go around the room.
But she's gonna start making a presence and an entrance, and fulfilling a stereotype for a purpose. You wanted the Ravnos to come to your Elysium.
Yep, and as opposed to the performance that Lydia put on earlier, there's fewer kindred who seem to to find it distasteful or just I'm gonna say, like, you're trying to attract attention because, I don't know, you can while you're here. There's pretty much just Mr. Johnson, who doesn't seem to want to pay you.
Before?
Mr. Johnson was there at the first Elysium, but he didn't say or do much. He hung back with Hilkers. He was basically like Hilkers' aide that night.
Yes.
But he didn't speak much because Miss Van Buren did pretty much the whole yada yada with everyone. Before
she left Casimir, probably when they first came into the room, she would have pointed out that Sid is the Tremere that goes with the gargoyle, correct?
Yeah.
So she would ensure that Casimir knew who they were, like that the gargoyle's upstairs, and that Sid is the Tremere that was his escort and his boss.
And Casimir will go, and as he does, like, the rounds, he's going to keep Sid for last.
Yeah, probably. But, making a big presence and letting... Yeah.
You will be left to your own devices for a little over a half hour.
I can entertain a crowd for half an hour.
It's 10 to midnight when you hear Betty's actual voice from the mezzanine up there. The bouncer has moved to the side, and she walks to the balcony, to the railing, and announces apologies for the delays. His Highness had some last-minute guests that needed to be accommodated. This said, the Elysium will now be officially starting. If you would like to follow me upstairs, I will announce your presence. Then she turns around, goes upstairs. She doesn't wait for anyone. She doesn't seem like she enjoys her role tonight.
Hmm.
You notice, by the way, she chose a particularly strange outfit, perhaps. It's a dress you had seen before.
Ooh, never a good thing. If Flory has seen this before, then it's never a good thing for her
Well, I
to
mean,
wear.
Yeah, you've seen it probably on like a walkway? Is that it?
Runway.
Oh, a runway.
It's called a
Yeah.
runway.
You've seen it on a runway before for sure. It's this. There's no like other way to say it, but there's a capelet that comes with it. It reminds you a lot of maybe like early 19th, maybe mid 18th century royal court, Paris royal court. It's definitely though modern, like it's a modern take on it. Yet she had it tailored so that the most modern aspects are less apparent, like the weight falls on her shoulders and everything.
She took high fashion in reinterpretation of court dress and then modified it to be more court dress, and therefore A, totally misunderstood high fashion, and B, totally misunderstood court dress.
But it seems like it's closer to like how it actually was back then.
Oh yeah,
as in
probably.
She's probably more comfortable in something like this than anything more modern. Even though, well, you'll see it as you go upstairs. Valois isn't dressed in his like ye old clothes. He's actually wearing a tux. So she's the one who is kind of once again standing out, not necessarily for the right reasons, and trying and probably failing at standing, out amongst the rest of the kindred. But that said, everyone goes upstairs. I don't know if you want to just follow along. You want to stay? You want to hang back? The first two people that move upstairs immediately are Valois and not Valois, sorry, Johnson and Duval. They don't rush upstairs, but they hurry themselves.
Make a point that they're
the sheriff. Yeah. The sheriff was not permitted at this meeting with the Archons.
Nope.
Flory's going to make eye contact with Casimir and see if he, gauge if he wants them to go in together, in which case she would hang back probably till the end to make a statement entrance then. But if he wants them to be separate entrances.
He's currently talking to Sid, and so he just, with, subtle eyebrows and and locking eyes, lets you know that, like, he wants a few more minutes with him.
Okay. And and then the quick response of, do you want a few more minutes to ensure that no one overhears you?
Nah.
Okay.
He seems to be like making small talk. And of course, Locke is going to go last regardless, because that thing barely fits in the staircase.
As she walks by Locke, she will stop and say hello.
Hey.
You look very nice. Did you get a polish for the event?
No polish. This skin.
Yeah, but like a polish. Haven't you? My friend, no. I know a beautiful masseuse who will do wonders for you. I'll give you their number. The girls can do anything. They'll make you feel like a new gargoyle.
I... Thanks.
You're welcome.
And as you move past, you can see him, he gets from, like, a ledge near him, there's, like, a little bag, like a fanny pack almost, and he picks something in it and fixes, with some glue, a little bow tie on his neck that he just... And, as he tries to go up the stairs, the bouncers hold him back. There's a whole conversation. Do you want to, like, stay midway to over here, or you keep going?
She's gonna pause to overhear because she wants to hear what the bouncers are gonna try and stop a gargoyle from doing.
He is not on... Basically, they tell him he's not on the list. He's not allowed to go up there.
Oh, of course he's on the list. He's a resident of the city, is he not?
And they look to each other, look to you. Our orders are strict. Not on the list. Not in the room.
Oh.
And
well,
it's...
That's hard.
And it's at that point that Sid and Casimir have made their way up.
Mm-hmm.
And Sid just looks to the two bouncers and goes, "That lady was right. He is one of us. So you better let him through." He dressed up. And he points to, like, the bow tie. And there's a fire in Sid.
Mm-hmm.
That that someone who would treat luck as a property would probably not have.
She did just, he's slowly redeeming himself, but, he's a little on the lower end at the moment.
But after a short, brief argument, Luck is permitted to go upstairs. But that means that you and Casimir are not the last ones to go in.
Yeah, but it'll be enough of a statement. The Ravnos, the Tremere, and the Gargoyle walk into a room.
It's the start of a joke.
Or
that said,
a murder.
The upper room is clearly above ground. There is moonlight coming in from stained glass windows.
Can I, because I've been spending a lot of time poring over a whole lot of maps of the catacombs and trying to find certain things for reasons, can I kind of guess where we are above ground?
Yes, you can make a... I guess you're from inside, so let's go with wits and wits and survival, or wits and streetwise. Because I figure both could work, knowledge of the streets and how they intersect, and
yeah,
I consider streetwise to also be sort of like, surviving in a city environment in more ways than just, gathering food and doing stuff.
Yeah.
There are things you need to know to be good at streetwise, or to be.
Do I get a bonus for having studied these maps kind of religiously?
I would say it allows you to make the roll.
Okay.
Difficulty. Let's go with difficulty 3.
Okay.
You're inside a place that, even from the outside, would kind of be strange.
Oof. I'm gonna try re-rolling that one.
Sure.
We'll see what happens.
Remember, you can also rouse the blood to get that extra die.
Yeah.
That, by the
nah.
way, that is not frowned upon. Those 2 extra dice, I should say. That is not frowned upon at the Elysium. It's the use of discipline. Boosting your stats, like probably
Okay.
everyone is doing it.
Okay, then yes, she would rouse the blood to do that. Rouse check. Oh, I'm hungry.
Yeah,
Great.
you would have needed to do the rouse check after, though, because otherwise
Yeah.
it
Oh, because if
adds
you
that
don't,
extra hunger to your check, which you don't need.
yeah. So well.
But that's okay. Your hunger will be 3, but
Yeah.
you've got 3 successes, which means you're
It's
in
okay.
a
I'll get a
part.
snack on the way home.
The place you're in. So again, this is like this circular room, right? You know that you are on the surface because, like I said, there's moonlight coming in through like a stained glass window. It is still a somewhat circular room with Gothic columns. There are 2 doors in addition to the 2 staircases to lead down. So you know there's at least, let's say, 3 way out, right? Down or through one of the doors. 4 if you
And
count
that
the window.
stained glass window.
And that stained glass window. That stained glass window, by the way, is, I'd say, about 25 inches wide.
Yeah,
But it's a good 4 feet tall.
Okay.
So it's a sizable window. And what you notice is with the walking that you made and all that, you're not that far away from downtown. You think you're in one of the churches, the older churches downtown. Except, so the thing is from what you remember on the maps, if your guess is correct, it's one of 2. The room you're in clearly doesn't fit what those churches look like from outside.
Yep.
So this is and of the 2 churches, one of them, you know, is like constantly under repairs. It is let me just grab it. Of course, not IRL, right? Yeah, it would be normally the St. Patrick's Basilica. It's in the middle of downtown. It's not too far away from Dorchester Square or from Mary Queen of the World. It used to be built for, and it's a basilica. It's not just a church. It's huge, which could definitely house a room such as this within, without anyone necessarily asking questions. Because, you know, some people from inside, visitors would be like, oh, that might be like the refectory, or it's not the tabernacle, it's the
Sacristy.
the sacristy. So maybe that door leads to there, or maybe that whatever, but unless you really have an eye for it, especially since the basilica also has like a more modern building almost attached to it. So that used to be the like the presbytery. Built, well, I say more modern. Built probably at the same time, few years difference, right? But that this one has been like modernized over time. In that entire complex, it would be feasible to hide the room that you are in and make sure that no one can easily access it. And for the Sabbat, I mean, you're in a church and all that. Seems like the kind of thing that they would have done. This room is not lit up by candles. Aside from the light of the moon that peers in, it is lit up by these, I will say rune, but not in the sense of an alphabet or magic. They're just like designs, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
reddish runes that glow softly. You could probably do the same thing with LED lights,
Mm-hmm.
but this is clearly supernatural
Okay.
and not bought at like Home Depot. Nothing in this room, save for the two doors, look modern. Everything looks like it was built in the 19th century. Both doors are fire doors.
Mm-hmm.
You see it from here. Reinforced steel.
Mm-hmm.
They both have a handle.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those big door that has a big handle but no lock.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could just open them and move in and out. There's a section of this room that is a little bit higher than the rest. 2 steps lead to a semicircle. Probably used to be some sort of altar that was just raised, destroyed, polished, rebuilt over it. Makes sort of like a stage, and right now there are several chairs arranged on that stage in the same semicircle pattern. There are a few chairs and like high back chairs, if you will.
Yeah.
But also
He wants to build a throne, but
no, it's
not
for the
the-
people armchairs, yeah.
Mhm.
That are just placed around the room for people to sit in. No, the chair for the prince is clearly taller, wider, bigger than the rest. It is not ostentatious though. It's got this almost corporate feel to it, like a
Mm-hmm.
like some strange Herman Miller creation that is probably super expensive, looks very modern, but has this classic feel to it. Like if Herman Miller was to release something like Herman Miller X Vampire the Masquerade type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas everything else looks like it belongs in this place. They're not antiques, but both the armchairs, the seats, everything looks 19th century. It keeps in line with the room, and it was probably already there when the Camarilla moved in. Upstairs, of course, aside from Mr. Hilkers, you're going to have Betty. You're also going to have our 2 friends, the Archons. Kristen Bellamy, Michael Unther. And they have with them their servant, the old man that you've met, Edwards.
Yes.
So he's there too. But he's standing in a corner. He's sitting in a little wooden chair, well, little smaller wooden chair. And he is just scratching notes on a pad of paper, just taking notes. Kind of like a court, shoot, how'd you call them?
Scribe.
The what?
Scribe.
The scribes, yeah.
A stenographer, court stenographer.
Yeah, kind of like that. Except he's not... He doesn't seem like he's writing down what the Archons are saying or anything. He looks around the room and notes things down. Those are all the people, I believe, that we have up here. And as you and Casimir enter, Betty needs to announce you. She is behind her little lectern by the stairs and looks at you and says, "Oh, and who might you be?"
Oh. Madam Secretary, so kind of you to invite us. Ms. Florica. Winters. And then she'll step back.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Winters. I didn't recognize you dressed
Yes,
as you are right now. I took you for one of the other roses.
Oh, really? None of you managed to get anything off of Paris runway from this season.
And it's true, none of them did. In fact, the two Archons.
Or I should I have to make a correction. None of you managed to get anything off of Milan runway from this season.
Yeah. Neither of the Archons, by the way, they're dressed the same way that you saw them last time. They probably have very little in clothing. And they do not seem to give a damn. And they probably are of a certain status that they can afford not to give a damn.
Yeah. There's a money run. She's showing. Flory honestly does not care about the Archons. Well, at least doesn't care about showing up the Archons fashion. She's showing up Betty.
Oh yeah. And you are. In fact, the only other person that could probably appreciate what you're doing tonight would have been Diana. Who's not here. It would have been a miracle were she here. But she's not.
Valois at least understands what I'm doing. I'm still pissed at him, but he understands what I'm doing.
And he's also pissed at you. He's, by the way, sitting cross-legged in one of the chairs on the stage. Just, a hand on his chin. He looks like he doesn't want to be here. But she turns to Casimir and says, Betty doesn't. And what should the Herald call you?
Oh, congratulations on your promotion, Mrs. Secretary.
Is this your child? She turns to you without even asking Casimir. Like she asks you, Flory, if Casimir is your child.
And she'll look at Casimir and go, is that 2 or 3 strikes?
Casimir goes, I wouldn't know. I'm just a dumb Ravnos, We don't know how to count. We're not educated. I mean, this here is my first Elysium in my entire life. I am ecstatic and honored to be here. Miss Herald, you clearly can see that I am but a neonate. And I don't know how the world works. And she goes, okay, fine. Who's your +1, Miss Winters?
And she'll look to Casimir because, again, how does he want to be introduced? She would have already asked how he wanted to be introduced.
Well, when you look at him, he just says, introduce me as Elder Ayers. And with that, we're going to take a quick break. But first, before break, because we're clearly busting tonight, as we do with all of our finales, I have a quick announcement. You will hear something special during break tonight. So, you remember, over the course of the season, we had the Archons in, blah, blah, blah. This is not one of those. As some of you might know, there's a podcast that I'm co-hosting called Quip and Quill that has launched last week on Friday. Our first episode is already up. It is available on both my Patreon and Devin's Patreon, but we also have a Patreon that we'll talk about at the end of the show. So what I decided to do is this week, for everyone, you will get to hear the bonus content because it fits like the time that we have for our break. So that's nice. And also it doesn't spoil the episode. So you're going to hear basically our blooper reel and some choice sound bites that unfortunately I realize now will be on the internet forever. So have fun with this, and I'll talk about it after the break. But it's 10 minutes, so we're gonna break for 10 minutes tonight, and when we get back, we go back to the Elysium.
I don't have the date that I met my wife, because we actually met over the internet. We were on a forum together and we just started talking. But I know the date that we moved in and officially started dating. Because we did the most lesbian thing, which is we U-hauled. Accidentally. On the first date, technically.
we tripped and we U-hauled together.
Yes. Yes. Here's the thing. Okay, I met her and I wanted to leave New York where I used to live. And so she had an extra room and everything at her house that she's like, yeah, if you want to come all the way out here out west and rent a room for me, that'd be great. And this way, you have a place to go immediately if you want to leave. And I was like, oh yeah, I'd absolutely love that. And she's like, so how do you want to plan to come here, or you want to fly or whatever? It's like, yeah, no, I'm going to drive. Much easier to bring my stuff here. And I loved at that time taking road trips. So she thought that was the best idea ever. And, we had already been friends, essentially online for, a year at that point. So I was like, and she had come to New York and spent a weekend hanging out with me and a bunch of friends. And so we had met in person, but we weren't dating or anything. And then she, decided to come on the trip with me. So she flew out to New York, and immediately, that was it. We drove across country for 5 days because we took a longer trip than normal, and fell in love in the trip. So, and her way of letting me know that she felt the same was, as I was unpacking in what I thought was going to be the room I'm renting, she was picking my stuff up and putting them in her bedroom. And that's how I found out that I was dating Bree. You have better chances dating than you do to find a good D&D table.
She does things with her fingers in my mouth. I see the wild shape as the D&D equivalent of using sex toys.
I literally just said I'm going back to work. I'm not here for... No. Anyhow, the fuck is that? Why is there always something in my drink? Hello, everyone. I'm Devin Rue, professional. I can't fucking speak today. Hello, everyone. I'm Devin Rue, professional cartographer. Why am I questioning it? I know I'm a professional cartographer. What the fuck? Hello, everyone. I'm Devin Rue, professional cartographer and Nope. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm Devin Rue, professional fantasy cartographer. Professional fantasy cartographer and illustrator. And co-host. I'm all the things. I wear all the hats. I do it all. Everything. You name it. It's me. That actually worked really well. I'm very happy. For the Quippin, god damn it. For the Quippin quill. Quip it good. Dan in it. Okay. Kitty want talking to the mic? Is that it? No noise? I don't make out with cats. I can't hold you and record at the same time. Podcast time is not good bath time. So what is this podcast gonna be about? I don't know. Why don't you tell me, Devin? Fuck if I know. Apparently it's just gonna be me sitting here talking to myself until I explain shit. Q-tip? No. The Quilton Till podcast. Welcome to the Quilton Till. Goddamn. Quip? Fuck. No longer know if I'm saying it correctly or not. It's not recording. Oh no, it is. It's not recording you. Why is it not recording? I needed to record everyone, not just me. Doobie doo. I want you to know. So it's been 1 week since you looked at me. Tilt your head to the side and said you're sorry. The quip, quilt, no. Fuck. Quip on up. The quilt and quiff? Oh, nope. It's not the quiff and quill, but that, we'll have to have arse queef on for that alone. Once again, with feeling. The quip and quill, fucking, god damn it. Take my fucking headset, strangling me. I've said it so many times I don't know if that's right anymore. Over to you, Simon. It's just gonna be fucking seriously now. Come on, get your act together. Everyone ignore the cat screaming in the background. Hopefully Mike doesn't pick that up, but peanut butter jelly time. Thank you for listening to the Quip and Quill podcast. To the nope. I am over pronunciating shit, so it sounds even worse. Fantabulous. What the fuck? Thank you for listening to the Quip and... No, try that again. There's just going to be this endless recording of me saying the word quip, quip and quill, quip and quill, quip and quill, quill and quip, quill and quip. No, that sounds worse. Quip and quill is correct. Quite the quote. Query. Oh, I'm turning into Oliver Fudd. That's fine. It's contagious, Simon. Feelings. Nothing more than feeling. In a world where a podcaster host nope, let's try that again. In a world where a podcast host can actually say the name of the actual podcast. Actually, in a world where I stop fucking up what I'm saying. I'm saying it right. Why am I doubting myself? I should just not rehearse shit. That's just it. I shouldn't fucking rehearse anything because it's going nowhere. Okay. And now there's a helicopter overhead. I live in the middle of nowhere. Why is there suddenly all these noises? It's a manhunt or a mountain rescue. Who the fuck knows? And from there, it's just first day with the new lips. Seriously? Because it really shouldn't take this fucking long. Why? Probably eating during. This is not a good idea. But I bet you it makes the best noises. And probably ones that are highly inappropriate. Like people are just gonna think the wrong shit. All the fuck ups together and just like make a bloopers reel. Now if only I can say it and not sound like Shatner. Once again, but not as fucking quickly. Tell me you're from New York without telling me you're from New York. New York. I'm podcasting here. Actually, I'm not. I'm just fucking it up left and right. I just wanted to stop in, give you a little content warning. Content warning. Trigger warning. Content warning. Content warning. It is a content warning about the content to which it contains. This show contains a lot of fucking swearing. So be prepared. Be prepared. Anyhow. Content warning. Nope. This recording will self-destruct in 5, 4, 3, 2, just kidding. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to say the word. It's Quip and Quill Podcast. Oh, god damn it. See, now I don't fuck it up. Apparently I chose to accept that mission, succeeded, and then that's it. Next up is Mary Kate. Mary Kate? What the Kate May? Oh my god. We're now selling cosmetics over a podcast. That works, right? Is that Mary Kate? Oh, I think it's Mary Kay. Mary Kate's an Olsen twin, I believe. Oh well. Avon calling.
in person.
Hello. We are back, and we are at the Elysium. I hope you enjoyed the break. I'll talk about all of this later at the end, but Casimir is announced as now entering. Elder Ayers and Miss Florica Winters of the Ravnos clan. And she, by the way, has called out pretty much everyone's bloodline, but by what would be like the older name for it, like, or not older, but the more
Sobriquet.
tasteful. Yeah, no, but like, you know, she'll call out the Toreador as the Rose. She'll call out, like, Lydia is the Seer. She didn't say like Child of Malkav or a lunatic.
So not the official sobriquets, her sobriquets.
Yeah, except that for you and Casimir, you know, she wants to mark it quite clear which clan you belong to, and probably knows that some people would take offense at you being here.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Madam Secretary. It was so kind of you to invite us to this event.
I didn't do the invites, she replies, kind of louder for everyone to hear.
Really?
That would befall our magnanimous prince.
Oh. Really? Because that's so interesting. The only invitation I got was the one that you gave me over the phone.
That was on behalf of His Highness Hilkers. He is very generous, and she looks towards Prince Hilkers, who is still engrossed in conversation with the two Archons. And by engrossed, I mean he needs to stay focused on those two. It seems that they're a little agitated. In fact, you, Flory, know that there are more than two Archons in town.
Yep.
I don't think you've met the third one, right?
No, but we know that he exists because
Yeah.
Dixon told us. And told us specifically who it was and where they were and what was going on.
Right now, you only see the two that you have met.
Okay.
And there are no other surprise faces in here.
Mm-hmm.
Once everyone's in, she introduces Sid as part of the now fallen pyramid. And she introduces Locke as the wayward child of Clan Tremere.
No, I'm pretty sure that's an inaccurate statement. And she's going to, by the way, and she'll just lean over and subtly, not subtle at all, but look, it's like, I think you spilled Sharpie on your dress, and walk away.
She looks not so subtly at herself. Lydia notices.
Mm-hmm.
But the others around don't seem to want to pay heed.
Oh, of course not.
To Betty. Even though maybe in that moment she didn't want people to pay heed to her. The Elysium is called, and it is a lengthy affair with a lot of blah blah that just fills the time. It is the most boring Halloween party you've ever been to. It's more town hall than anything else.
I mean, to be fair, I predate, and my culture and people don't really celebrate Halloween. It's not a thing.
No, but even your culture celebrates, period.
This is true. This is not a celebration.
No, this is not a celebration.
This isn't even
and-
an Elysium.
It is, actually. It is an Elysium, but it's a...
It's a business meeting.
Yeah, it feels like you're in a very wide, very gothic boardroom. At the ordre du jour, Hilkers reiterates the laws of the Camarilla, the traditions, the importance of the masquerade. And there are several chairs that are empty around him on the stage. And he gets to that before the introductions and the hearing of the airing of grievances and such. He is putting together a primogen for the city. But whereas other places in this world, both the new and the old, would latch on to older traditions and request a member of each clan be present as the voice of that bloodline, Hilkers doesn't believe in that. He believes that the Primogen Council should make up of those vampires who have enough responsibilities, leadership and power and skills to be able to speak for the other kindred, regardless of bloodline. As he puts it, not all Toreadors are the same. The Tremere, and he looks to Valois, are no longer a monolith. And that's where he announces that, of course, Mr. Sang, being a skillful practitioner of blood sorcery, a font of knowledge about kindred history and the past of the city, it felt only logical that I choose Mr. Valois as the first member of the Primogen Council. There will be others, and they will be vetted. And he looks to the Archons.
She's not
By
actually
Miss
coughing
Bellamy.
or laughing, but she's in her head doing so.
He then moves on to the bad news. The Archons are in town. Apparently, someone has took it upon themselves to see the ivory tower fall and has sicked the Archons against him like they were some pack of rabid dogs to be sent after one's enemies. I do not have to disclose any of the information between me and Miss Bellamy and Colonel Hunter, but I will say this, as I am a nothing if not honest and transparent. That no, I do not harbor any loyalty or allegiances to the Sabbat, or even to those meddlesome anarchs. Now, if someone here knows who sent, who wasted the precious time of these two Hunter of the Truth, speak up and you shall be rewarded. I do not tolerate any attempts at undermining my authority And you notice he looks in the direction of you and Casimir as he says that. The ivory tower... Oh, no, go ahead.
She says nothing,
Mhm.
but merely shifts her body language a half position to better offset the beautifulness of this dress, and it makes a bigger statement in the room. Just like kind of twitches the skirt out a little bit, flounces it, and also to in a way that shifts. And you don't have any authority over me. The only person in this room who has authority over me is standing next to me.
Question for you.
Yes.
When you do shift about,
Mhm.
Are the earrings in plain sight?
Yeah, I mean, her hair's down.
Yeah, but do you also like move it in a way to showcase?
I mean, like her hair, like, so I think like her hair is down, and probably it's very similar to what I have, right? Like
Mhm.
my hair, is such that it'll be we jumping around. At least one earring would be visible.
Okay.
She's not trying to hide them.
But as you move and you do this, can you make manipulation insight, please?
Oh, manipulation insight?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna re-roll. Crap. I'm gonna re-roll two of those.
Okay, which one do you keep?
Well, I have to keep the
You have to keep the hunger 10.
hunger 10, so I'm gonna re-roll the 10 in the
regular
fail.
one. Okay, you want to
Yeah.
lower it down from a messy crit to something else.
Yeah.
Mm.
So 2 successes.
2 successes out of 2, that's all we need. You can't quite pinpoint. There is recognition in Hilker's eyes when you move and you show the earrings. You can't quite put your finger on what is it he recognizes, but at least he recognizes what they are. Like, he has seen probably or heard of those before.
He should.
He continues and says that the establishment of the Ivory Tower is for the betterment of everyone, that this place was a lawless, chaotic waste of space. By the time the Sabbat was here, they turned the country and part of America into a ticking time bomb that eventually led to the Night of Ashes. And that if left unchecked, those who survived the Sabbat would probably, without proper guidance, make the same mistakes. And he turns the court's attention to Mr. Antonio Andrade, who is here tonight because, well, things happened. You all heard about the True Witness incident that I've been briefed by Sheriff Duval. Mr. Andrade took matters in his own hands. And while he is not the sole person the sole kindred that needs to be thanked for putting this masquerade breach to rest, Mr. Andrade tried to do good. But the methods are not the ones that the Camarilla would support. He was a little careless, but his intent to protect and preserve the masquerade, or true. And thus, it is with great pleasure that I announce Mr. Andrade's previous crimes pardoned. Mr. Andrade is now to be recognized by anyone and everyone here as a victim of Sabbat influence and a survivor of their reign over Montreal. He is and was, for anyone concerned here, always a member of the Camarilla.
Mm.
And Andrade just, he doesn't look up, he looks at his feet. His legs are fidgeting. When Hilkers is done, he just blurts out a, "Thank you, Your Highness. This is a little much. May I be excused?" And Hilkers, the moment his announcement is done, just dismisses Andrade with a wave of the hand. "Yes, you may depart." Now, and he goes back to other matters. With your check, we'll keep the same success unless I ask for another one, but anything that would be difficulty 2, we'll just use the same result and have you succeed. Clearly, Hilkers is more interested in in what he himself did, than Andrade's plight in itself. It's more important, from what you can see, that he be seen as the magnanimous, generous ruler, like king, prince that he is. He doesn't really care. He probably doesn't even know exactly what Andrade did. But now the court knows that they can get a pardon if they slip up, if they make an honest mistake with the good intent. As he continues, Hilkers will talk about how it is, like, an important step for the history of Montreal to have the Camarilla here. Talks about all the good that this organization has done for kindreds across the world. And he realizes that it is, in a place like Montreal, something of an uphill battle. The city has a history. A dark history. And that people around the globe look to Montreal as this ruin to either be taken by force or to be completely wiped out of kindred influence. And he will have none of that. And in order to have none of that, we as kindred must make a unified front against our enemies. And in an attempt to make this unified front, our first steps, I would like to welcome a fellow Ventru from outside of Montreal. He flew in a few nights ago. Please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome the child of the Prince of Vancouver, Mr. Samuel Armstrong. And from one of the fire doors comes in this black gentleman, late 50s in human appearance, at least. He looks like a cross between B. Dave Walters and Giancarlo Esposito. That's his name, right? Yes. Sharply dressed. Walks with a bit of a limp. The blush of life is on. And he looks, even with the blush of life, looks even livelier than the mortal who's been taking note. He walks in, sits on one of the chairs, one of the farthermost chair from the rest of the empty Primogen council chairs on the stage. He doesn't say anything. He just nods as he looks at the crowd, waves a little, and then looks back to the prince. And the prince says, Mr. Armstrong will act as a liaison and a friend of the Ivory Tower on the West Coast. Or a friend between... Anyway, token of friendship between the two of us. Simon is having trouble with words for a sec. But Hilkers doesn't allow Armstrong to say anything. He just moves on to other businesses. Again, it's important that he's seen doing something more than the other person that he is apparently doing something for. He gets eventually, by this time it's almost 2:30 a.m. And now he gets to the introductions. And I believe we have new blood in town. Miss Duhamel, care to introduce us? And she will start with Casimir. And introduce Elder Ayers in with 2 successes. You can see Hilkers recoil at the word elder.
So, because I heard Artie's understanding, is the recoil because of Elder or because of Casimir?
Elder. Because he recoils when she says the word elder. She hasn't even said his name yet, and you can see in his face the... Like, if he were someone who breathes, there would be like that little in his breath. But he doesn't breathe, so it's an equivalent reaction that Kindred are used to.
He's such a little baby. It's okay. We're just gonna stick the big bad Ravnos on him. It's fine.
And Casimir will thank the court. You have a nice city, a beautiful city. I love it. Love the food here. It's really, really tasty. Bit too many churches for my taste, but what can you do? Your Highness. I, an elder, needs your help. And immediately Ilkers becomes interested. And like, it's so apparent. He almost forgot himself for a second. And Casimir will explain that he's looking for a kin killer. A possible Diablerist. Everyone shuts up. No one moves. I was going to say no one breathes, but no one does anyway. No one moves.
Not in this crowd.
Yeah, eyes wide. Well, in fact, Samuel will gasp. The two Archons, almost in unison, turn their head, like pivot to look at Casimir. It's almost like they're almost like automatons. They hear the word, the D word. Nothing else matters. Even the note taker, Mr. Edwards, stops, takes his glasses off and begins to wipe them. And Casimir says, I once had a child. And that child was recently taken from me. And this was found on his body. He gets the Hunter's green card. He hands it over to Duval, who steps off the stage, takes it, brings it to the prince. Whispers something in the prince's ears. And the prince says, yes, this is a nightclub owned by one of the city's independent residents. Mr. Porter, I believe is his name. Another survivor of the Sabbat. And he does take a pause between another and survivor. And Casimir cuts him right off. Decorum be damned. He's like, I know, I've spoken with Mr. Porter already. He's a good fellow. The fact that a Ravnos spoke to for some people, knowing that Arthur was, and without knowing necessarily the bloodline, but knowing that he was part of the Miami Sabbat, it makes a lot of people uneasy. Because that's a lot of clans that aren't supposed to be here. And the prince
It's almost like we were here first, motherfucker.
The prince readjusts his waistcoat and his blazer. Yes, you might want to inquire with him about... And Casimir cuts him off again. Your Highness, I did. I even spoke to your primogen. Congratulations, by the way. Seems like you harbor in this here town a child of Akim. One you would have maybe known as an ass, and he trails off. And you know, he accused someone of diablerie. He uses and he says, ass soul who isn't above killing his kin. Now, it was my understanding that while most Camarilla-held cities did not want to have anything to do with my family, the children of Akim were welcomed with open arms. Which means that they are de facto part of the Ivory Tower, which means that they fall under your jurisdiction, Your Highness. I would like to have a word with this assassin. And Hilkers just looks to Johnson, to Valois, to Caleb, and even to Betty. To the first three, he looks a little on edge. To Betty, he looks pissed. Because she let him in.
She's the one that wanted to have this meeting at the Elysium and not in private. Oh, by the way, she does have her phone on her, as we've established. She may have had the phone recording in her pocket since they came up the stairs.
You would just not be able to send that feed live to
It's okay.
Oh,
it
by the
doesn't
way,
need to be live. It's just recording.
Yeah, once you're upstairs, it's 2 bars.
Oh,
It's not the best, but like you could make
Yeah.
calls and it would work.
she's just recording at this point.
Okay. And even the two archons turn to the prince. And the prince says, this might be a rogue element of the children of Akim. Like we've established earlier with Mr. Andrade, there has been a lot of defectors way back when. Everyone is entitled to their own choice of sect, though many make the mistake of not seeking shelter with the tower. Those who consider themselves monsters, they can come from any bloodline. It doesn't mean that because we have decided collectively that the La Sombra and the Children of Akim should be welcomed as brethren, as they used to be in Knights of Yore, that each and every one of them is fully loyal to the tower. And Casimir keeps this whole, like, you know, snarky demeanor where he's not overstepping the line, but he's towing it very, very closely.
And it may not be overstepping, but it might be, you know, slightly brushing it just enough that it might be disappearing slowly.
Yeah, he keeps like edging the line a little farther out every time. He goes, Your Highness.
Florie's going to move herself just a little bit so that she's turned, so that she has line of sight on Valois, Caleb, and the Archons during this whole conversation.
Valois is still visibly angry at you.
Well, of course he is.
You said you kept... Sorry, to Valois, to... What were the other two? Casimir
Caleb and the Archons.
And the Archons, okay. The Archons are interested. And you can see that from time to time the two of them glance at their note-taker, who is now feverishly jotting down things. Caleb interrupts Casimir and says, Elder Ayers, I can understand how deep it can affect one to lose another of their kind. Kin is rare and something that should be protected at all costs. But I do believe that this Elysium tonight was not designed to start a blood hunt. So before we rile anyone into wanting to echo his highness, have the best of intentions, but the worst of methods. How about we meet privately, as this meeting should have been from the start? And Kristen just chimes in, we shall be there too.
And Flory is not going to do anything. She's not going to do anything to step into Casimir's, like, decision on that.
Casimir says, then this is all I ask, really. Also to introduce myself, you know, now you know I am here, and I intend to be here until this is seen through, and then I will go back to my other businesses. But I thought you will understand as a fellow elder, Mr. Duval, that sometimes you leave your child to take certain responsibility when you begin to trust them. And I think my child here, Miss Winters, and he points to you,
And she'll, like, at that, she will step up and perfect court manners.
She told me that we were invited to this event as part of the introduction. I've been in town for a while. I have, with the best of intent, but the worst of methods, maybe overstepped on Mr. Sans territory a little the other night. For which I profusely apologize, of course. But it was my belief, correct me if I'm wrong, child, that this here tonight was to be the introduction, and that this here tonight was to be done and conducted in front of everyone, for everyone to see. That my introduction was not going to be private.
That was the only communication I was given from the good Harold Dumal, or when I tried to contact her to arrange a meeting with the prince. You remember me calling, don't you, Sheriff?
Indeed. And Betty gets up and goes, I thought it would have been better to have everyone see the new faces around. After all, we are one big family, are we not? And I feel like we should meet all of our estranged cousins, especially those who come from different sects.
I'm sorry. Did you seem to... Are you... And she'll turn... Sire, is she implying that we were part of the Sabbat?
You know, we are old creatures, and while we do exist in modern nights, some antiquated notions of ethnic stereotypes seem to persist in some of us, though I think that for the younger kindred, these things should be easier to get rid of. I didn't pin you for an elder, Harold. Betty turns to the prince and goes, see, this is the kind of bullshit that I don't want to have to deal with. This here is unacceptable. I have a title, I have a rank, I deserve respect, and this vagabond has no reason, no matter his age, to overstep his... Hilkers raises a hand and says, that is enough. Caleb, please do something. And Caleb just walks through the crowd to Betty, who's been sitting, a bit farther in the back because, in case someone comes in, she has to announce them, as all good heralds should. He whispers something in her ear, and she gets up and storms away. And then he goes up to you and Casimir and says, just in case, it might be better if you were to also leave by a different exit. Please. And you see, with his interaction with Betty was very curt, very short. And at least with you, he, keeps a modicum of, politeness. He looks, with your 2 successes from earlier, he is not hiding the disappointment in his face. You don't know disappointed at what exactly, but he is disappointed by something that happened. And as he escorts you out, you hear Hilker's last announcement for the night, which is for all members in good standing of the Camarilla to forge a strong foundation for the tower. He is granting every member in good standing, and they will be vetted out. They will be not vetted, they will be approved, if you will. But he is granting everyone the right of progeny.
Flory is
The right
Caleb
of
is going-
embrace, sorry.
the right of embrace. Yeah, the right of embrace. Flory is, if they're being encouraged to leave, which is probably not the first time. Let's be honest. This is not the first Elysium that the Ravnos have been asked to leave.
No, and in this case, it's mostly because of everything that happened. It might be preferable if it's more of a, we don't want to detract from the rest of the meeting, so your part is done. So please, the CEO wants you.
No, it's there's the door. Get yourself out. We'll talk about it later. It's fine.
Mhm.
It's not the first time we've been doing this, but she's going to do everything to show up Betty even that much more as she's leaving. And the etiquette is perfect. She's a half step behind and to the left as Casimir exits first. She's not going to turn her back on the Archons. She's not going to she's not going to bow her head as if to acknowledge the prince's authority, but she's not going to insult him as she leaves either. And she's just going to flounce the skirt just enough as she goes out to make sure that the other Toreadors remember that she is that much better dressed than they are. Just that little bit of, yeah, you're the ones who had bad manners and we look better than you.
Yeah, it's basically the whole, like, you thought we were the uncouth, whatever, rebels or barbarians, as it were, and, like, look at you. As you leave, you notice there's Hilkers that mentioned that, but also Locke just waves you away subtly. And, well, the rest of the Elysium will continue without the two of you. Caleb accompanies you outside. He chose one of the door that actually leads to it's like an outer layer of this room. So imagine a corridor about 4 feet wide. It's very narrow. That goes around at least part of this room. And there is another door farther away, another fireproof door, that he opens, and it leads directly to outside. However, when you step out, he's going to close the door behind him because he wants to talk to you outside. But when the door is closed, it is a concealed door. It looks like it's made of the same stone, and there's no...
Oh, it's okay. She's memorized everything coming in and out and the way this door is and where it is.
Yeah.
As if she was facing the joint.
It would be very difficult, you notice, to open it from the outside, given that the crack is very, very, very
recessed.
Yeah.
Thin.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You don't know how thick the stone is, the door being made of steel. That's probably a way with like a magnet, but it seems like it's a concealed exit more than a concealed entrance.
Yeah, she's still just, half of it's, just her natural inclination to do so.
Duval will explain, as you are led out, that he is not aware of a Banu Hakim in town. Which means that this Banu Hakim is being sheltered by someone that, if there is one, because it could be anyone so long as they know. Valois seems to have given him a bit of information. He assumes, like Casimir, that it's a child of a king. But it could be anybody else. The point is, they are being sheltered by someone who is not on Caleb's radar. And Caleb knows that there are remnants of the Sabbat that weren't completely wiped out. Not everyone attended the Black Mass that ended in the Night of Ashes. One notable person was a La Sombra by the name of Damien Black.
Oh, he's dead.
Or so I've heard.
Well, the house ate him.
I will not set foot in there to get confirmation, but
Polly will tell you. She's very upfront about everything that goes in that house.
and she is probably the only kindred in town who would be crazy enough to live there.
Apparently, they're getting along. Have you been following the renovation series that she's doing?
I do not watch media.
Sometimes it's useful.
I have not enough time and too many things to do.
If you don't enjoy yourself in the little things, then you get stuck being the scourge, the sheriff, and the seneschal all at once.
I have my hobbies from time to time. I used to collect coupons.
For anything interesting?
That was a jest.
Because there's an entire show on TLC. You should go watch it. It's about extreme couponing and about how much money you can actually save by spending more money and doing the whole couponing thing.
I care very little about money in kind.
Neither do I, but it's kind of hilarious, the efforts that they go to.
Speaking of efforts, whoever this Banu Hakim is, someone is going through great effort to hide them from even an elder. Mr. Johnson has informed me tonight that some kindred in town have been causing trouble. And I know it is not your coterie, Miss Winters. There seems to be another rising coterie out of the ashes of the Sabbat. I have no idea who they are. Mr. Johnson seems to want to lead his own little crusade by himself. I offered, as the sheriff, I can do things. If you can pass on a message to Mr. Porter, and I know it is probably important to you and maybe Dixon. Maybe Lucky. You wouldn't say Dixon. Maybe Lucky. It is my belief that these unknown elements might be linked to Miss St. Lawrence's disappearance.
God, is that a shit show? Who's in charge of investigating it? That doesn't have you.
For now,
You are.
it was Mr. Johnson. Now it is me.
Oh, good. Let me have a frank discussion about his inability to actually identify what's important evidence?
Do you really think it is an inability, Miss Winters?
Oh. I've come across him twice. I can't fully gauge his ability, but...
He has the ear of the prince far more than I do. He is utterly devoted to Hilkers.
Did he come with him from Paris?
He did. Except there are no Carl Johnsons at the Paris court. I have powerful friends in France.
When did you leave, Caleb?
Pardon?
Mm-hmm.
I said I have
Sure.
friends, not I used to live there.
You're not the only one with friends in Paris.
Apparently not. He looks to Casimir. My condolences for your child.
Oh, Caleb, before I leave, and she like literally pulls her hair up and will stick a pin through it.
Mhm.
Like at this point in the night, she's done her
Oh,
job.
it is
She's
now
made
like 3:30.
yeah, she's made herself look good. Now it's the efficiency. I told Valois I dealt in good faith. There's somebody running around. Well, somebody's running around with a coat of faces. There are a bunch of whites in your sewer system. And, well,
And
there are a couple Nos who know that there are some others who have not been, who are concerned, shall we say.
Nosferatu in the sewers. What's new?
No.
But the white...
That are concerned about other things in the sewers. I don't care if the Nos are there. They're nice people.
I
A little
know.
weird, but, you know.
There isn't a whole lot that happens on the island without me being informed at some point.
This is me playing the nice game. You gave information, I'm telling you what I know.
And let me play the nice game in return.
Mm.
Like I said, I eventually learn everything. But there is an unknown element that I just can't quite see at the moment. Imagine, if you will, a blind spot on the island. It is not an area. It is not... Well, it might be people. This coat of face person. These whites. The disappearance of Miss St. Laurent. And this strange little crusade that Mr. Johnson is playing at. Something doesn't add up.
I told Valois I dealt in good faith.
Oh. I absolutely think that you did. And he turns to Casimir and says, I have not inconsiderate resources that I can put at your disposition to find whoever it is you're looking for. The law can even turn a blind eye if a bereaved Ravnos elder was to utterly consume the one who destroyed their child.
She'll reach her hand in her pocket and click and just...
But in return, I would need something. I do not like to have unknown variables walking about this island. It threatens the stability that we are trying to build. And by we, I do not mean the Ivory Tower. I mean all of us. The Second Inquisition did not care about allegiances. It cared about if you had a beating heart or not. If there are other mishaps, other issues, and they come back, we're all going down. I can help you find this murderer in exchange. I need the services of your child. And you see he's having this conversation with your sire.
Mm-hmm.
Not with you.
And this is also not the first time this conversation has happened.
What do you mean?
this is probably not the first time that somebody has approached Casimir to ask for Flory to go to do something this, right? This is not that and Flory will just glance over at Casimir and just in Roma say, he was up front in paying for the last time. Don't know why you couldn't ask me first this time, though.
Casimir will reply, I think it's because you could say no. I can't. So he turns back to Caleb and says, what are we looking at? And it's on that question that we're going to end season 3. Hot dang! Nothing bad happened at the Elysium.
Wait.
I beg to differ.
Wait. No. Something great happened at this Elysium. Simon, I achieved a long-term goal.
Yes, you did. Could you remind everyone what it was?
Make both the prince and Betty look bad in public to other cam members.
We're gonna have to, starting next season, because I know we said it last season, we're gonna have to do it next season, to also go through long-term and short-term goals as we start, so that, we can keep up with it, because we keep forgetting about it. Thank you for reminding me. I knew what it was. I just...
Yeah, you needed me to say it.
We've never told anyone, aside from, we have it in Legend Keeper, but people aren't allowed to see this page, I believe.
No.
So, thank you for coming, everyone. We are going to have interludes. So, because of Gen Con this weekend, and partly because of Baldur's Gate, the recording with with Fredo, I'm going to schedule that. So it's for sure not going to be the first interlude. Unless the stars line up in a way that I cannot foresee. But there will be that. There will be interludes for each of these characters, which we will discuss offline first, and then come back theoretically. So because we might be delayed a week, so we should come back on the 11th of September. There will be, the interludes in the meantime, so there will be streams on Mondays. But, the season itself, the coterie itself will will return. Oof. That's it. It is past midnight. Let's go and do outros for a sec. I have a few things to say at the end, so I'll keep it at the end. We'll start with the person who had the least screen time tonight, and whose face is still shrouded in mystery. Hey, Dixon.
I know. I have limited visibility. I had to find my cursor. It was somewhere, and then I had to bring it back. Hey, everybody. I am Trooper SJP, and I was playing Dixon tonight. And what a lovely group of folks. It's so interesting to see, what it means when people go or don't go to Elysium and what they do there and what all the interesting politics are, because there are very interesting politics going on. And I'm fascinated to see how this will play out. I'll just say, I looked at that Legend Keeper, and there are a whole lot of Camarilla in this city now, and it looks like there's going to be a whole lot more. I don't know if Simon told you, but each season has a title, and this one was Progeny. They're going to just be progenying all over the place. Don't like it. I'm going to give my love to, of course, to Prax for walking into that Elysium and, living her full Ravnos realness with her elder. And I'm going to go and give my love to Pope for being such a lovely giver of energy during that whole thing. And of course, to Simon for being such a really cool and interesting storyteller who lets things breathe. You know, I sit and I'm watching what's going on and I think, oh, golly gee whiz, there's some badness going on here. And Starbolt, anyway, so it's good times. And let me see, today is Monday. You can find me tomorrow on my channel at Trooper SJP at 7 p.m. for Motor City Hollow Crown, which is my Vampire the Masquerade miniseries set in Detroit in 1973. And on Friday, over on my channel at 7 p.m. Eastern, I am doing Iron Sworn Starforge, which is a solo RPG. And I'm playing Crass Jones, the space adventurer, and the Library of the Dead, which is a very sort of Buck Rogers 1930s, 40s pulp style solo game, which is sort of playing the character that is the fictional character in the Traveler universe that I'm also GMing. So those are the three. That's where you can find me, and I pass it along.
Well, thank you for coming. We'll move on to Arthur. I'm still listening, but I will be quickly right back.
Hey everybody, Pope here, Pope World Build on the socials and the Twitch. Good is not what I would label that Elysium. There was a lot of bad news. Exceeding amount of bad news. Also, I find it particularly interesting when the local herald disrespects an elder and still gets to keep their fangs. That's not something I'm accustomed to.
Oh, I saw it.
Also, not a boon given or title stripped or negative title added. Like, there are things.
Oh, there were insults all over the place on that conversation.
Yeah, but there are things that the cam is noted for, that the tower is noted for. This ain't it. There's a whole lot that is going against long-standing tradition, which is what the tower professes that it's all about. And now, essentially, open season on Progeny. I mean, there's usually a boon trade there, not a Wild West roundup. Essentially, the closest thing they can get to shovel heading and still be called cam.
Look, no. It's not shovel heading. It's the cam has decided to embrace the, Southern evangelical ideology of quiverful.
Also, I'm getting a big whiff of Sooner State with this, and I'm not happy. So, yeah, keep your eyes peeled. There was also some very interesting lore bombs that were dropped. So this is one to actually maybe replay before the next season starts. And hats off to Trooper for being so utterly dedicated to keeping us in the dark. See it sometime. Hope. I'm also, with these current revelations, I'm even more curious as to what lengths Dixon's going to go to, as well as who Dixon might find along the way in his quest.
Well, I mean, if he doesn't find out about it, then he won't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but just enough people that want to keep you in the loop.
But how many of them were at Elysium? You know what I mean?
Well, There's Flory, and now I am Andrade cozying up to the very hollow crown, then waltzing away like a whipped dog is a bad sign. But again, Flory was there. Flory walked into the lion's den and came out with oodles of info. There is so much stuff in this that she's sitting in an absolute treasure trove, and is now finding herself in a very target-rich environment. Because here's the other thing, folks. When it's open season on Progeny, there's always one, at least one, that multiple kindred have their eyes on, and someone's going to get to them first, and the person that's left behind is going to be pissed. So there is profit to be had for the likes of Flory next season. It's duck season next season, and we're going to see who gets their hunting license. And then Simon juggling all of these clubs, because it's not the kindness of juggling, proper balls. No, this is club juggling. And absolute hats off between our long-standing fellows like Caleb, Betty, but also just how the Archons have now latched on to a new target, an absence of an Archon. We got to see Lydia be more Lydia, which was delightful. An interesting outburst from Sid. I want to know who the fuck those two bouncers were, because they're bald, have a very distinctive jawline. That reminds me of something I saw in Miami, and I'm not happy about it.
So,
And the fact that the Archons are just like, this is fine, I am also not happy about.
so the thing is I know what you're thinking about, and I can tell you that there were members of that bloodline. There are members of that bloodline in Montreal. You have met them in the game. But
I know.
it is
I know.
not those two.
It's likely the twins.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, again, Tweedledee and Tweedledum both share a brain cell. Only one of them is allowed to hold it at any given time. And Jimmy's just the lad that likes to keep it just out of their arm's reach so he can play with it. But yeah, no, absolute respect to all these amazing storytellers, and there is so much to dig into. Because if you go back a couple episodes, the Archons knew precisely who called them.
Oh, they've been...
Precisely.
Yeah. We
So
will see
Hilker's
the fallout next
asking
season.
as to who it was is an interesting wrinkle. So thank you all so much for being here to share this with us. I look forward to hearing your discourse on whatever social media you've got, as well as to whatever these interludes are, whether it's Fredo, whether it's Flory going on a trip to Chicago, or whatever dark den Dixon finds himself in. It's going to be an interesting time. And thank you so much for being a part of it with us. Our live VOD YouTube store is nothing without science. You're much a part of this as we are. Take care of yourselves and one another, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you for coming. And last but not least, the one who stole the show at the Elysium, Flory.
Look, there was effort and planning going into stealing that show. Thank you for that, Trooper. I appreciate that. I'm glad I'm also glad that my fellow players enjoyed that. I understand that sometimes in a vampire game like this, it can be hyper focused on individual characters, and sometimes but it's it's great to play with people like Pope and Trooper, who I can sit back and when they're focused on them, I can just sit back and enjoy and be like, "Ooh, wait, this is great. I can enjoy all of this. Oh, wait, I should be taking notes for other things, but this is great." And I hope that I provide that for them as well. Thank you, Simon. It was great. I have lots of notes about what Flory's going to do now that she has access to napalm and the directions to this location and where the back door is and a whole bunches of other things, because it also feeds into some things that she wants to do. But yeah, it will be very, very interesting. I am very much still on the little princeling don't know shit, and interesting that Caleb's trying to hide that he came from Paris. Intriguing. But I loved every minute of this. I'm gonna go, and yes, I agree with Pope on this one. Go back, watch, take notes. It will be useful. A lot of things were left and mentioned and kind of mentioned as an aside or thrown away that could have lots of meaning. I'm very intrigued to see how those kind of come out. As for me, you can find me here on Twitch at Praxagora we're currently on break from Carousel Court, but Arc 2 of Carousel Court picking up in 1965. We'll be back on August 19th, and I am well into the planning for that and working on a very special surprise for that to come back to. It'll be great.
Hot damn.
That is...
I just said hot damn.
Yes, it will be, and very interesting. It's also appropriate given the fact that it's a Southern Gothic urban fantasy set in Savannah, and, you know, this will be 1965. It'll be great. I'm also doing a playthrough of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, the original, going for that dark gray Jedi Revan, see how that works. And I probably will get sucked into Baldur's Gate like everybody else. It's a life. But I can't wait to come back for this. I have an idea of what my interlude might be if it works, but I have to talk to a bunch of people and see if it'll happen and see if Simon's okay with it. But I can't wait to come back and see what happens next. I can't wait to see what my other fellow players get to do for their interludes and their drama. And when will we get to see the makeup trooper? But yeah.
My guess is during the interlude.
Probably. Hopefully.
That's my guess.
Hopefully. But thank you everybody for being here. Thank you to both the players and the audience, and Simon for being a wonderful GM. I can't wait until next time.
Thank you all for coming for this season. There was a lot of note-taking on my end tonight, by the way, of things that happened. There will be fallout of what occurred tonight that you will see maybe during the interludes, maybe in season 4. But, you know, vampires do not necessarily act very rapidly. And also, I will note that no one, aside from me, knows what happened at the Elysium after Flory left. So that didn't end.
I think it was a love-in. I think there was a love-in. A big, huge love-in is what I think happened.
It's okay. I figure look, Casimir and Caleb are outside. And realistically speaking, aside from the two Archons, these are the only two people that have any actual power or threaten this city. Belwalk can claim to, but these are the two people I would actually be afraid of. And since they're having the conversation outside, anything that's happening inside can't be that important. Also, yeah, Casimir, you wanna also tack in that you get to hunt down Betty as part of this, you know, agreement with Caleb for getting what he wants. I could see that happening.
Eddie has crossed the point of death. Her series of unfortunate events now begets living with
Oh.
all of it.
Yeah, stuff.
No,
Stuff will happen.
She has crossed into the point of, let's see if we can put you into so much boom debt you're untouchable.
Yeah. It'll be interesting.
That said, yeah, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you, people in chat. Thank you for all the subs, all the follows, all the bits, and everything that happened over the course of this season. Thank you to our raiders tonight, to Somaddy's game. Thank you to KY Hawkeye, who came by. And thank you to... Oh no, there was another one.
Yes, it was.
Wait.
Queen's Court Games.
Yes, Queen's Court
Court
Games. Thank you, thank you. For some reason, my feed doesn't have the Raiders in it anymore for some reason. I'm going to have to look into that. But thank you so much for all of this. As for me, I should be there on Thursday to continue our road to Baldur's Gate, where we're going to be picking back up Baldur's Gate 1. Unless I decide that it's too tempting to just restart another new game in Baldur's Gate 3, which is honestly, it's been almost 300 hours now. So maybe I have a problem. It's 300 hours since early access, by the way. I've been playing 275 hours since early access came out, which is quickly becoming the game that I've played the most, including Skyrim. Except maybe Baldur's Gate 1. We'll see. Anyway. That said, there should be a stream on Thursday, and then we will be back on Saturday for Scion. The con season is done. Everything, all of this is done. So now on Saturdays, we're coming back with the game for our last story arc, as the demigods are on the verge, close, of either all perishing or becoming gods themselves. And on that, next Monday, we'll start our interludes. We'll talk offline with the three of us. Other announcements very quickly. The demo for Werewolf the Apocalypse Retaliation was up during Gen Con on Tabletop Simulator for those of you who were at the convention if you wanted to try it out. I ended up not streaming it because I realized playing by myself was kind of a weird thing on Tabletop Simulator. But if you want to try it, it's on TTS right now. So if you have Tabletop Simulator on Steam, you can just search for Werewolf the Apocalypse Retaliation. And you can find the game. The RPG is now out, so I can finally talk about it. And that means I will probably put together a game of Werewolf. We'll see about that because it's all a big scheduling mess with everything stream-wise. So aside from that, you've heard the podcast earlier, so this was just the bonus content. By the way, the episodes go live every Wednesday for our patrons and then every Friday for everybody else. I have linked earlier in chat the link to the YouTube page if you wanted to listen to it on YouTube. I will link it again. But it's always more fun to have it this and copy. There we go. It's always more fun to listen to it not on YouTube, as you can do so on the road. So you can just go and get it from either the Patreon, which or you'll get the links to watch it free from there. It's the Quip and Quill podcast. Basically every week we're going to sit down. Quip and Quill. We sit down with people that friends and people that we've worked with in the industry, and we talk about RPGs, gaming, hobbies, everything. In episode 1, there is a long talk about with Kate May, our first guest, on that one scene from the reveal of Baldur's Gate 3 with the bear. And so we go into talking about sex in D&D. And part of it, anyway, we talk about safety tools. We also talk about a bunch of other stuff. So that's something that I highly encourage all of you to listen to. I won't disclose the list of guests, but there's some very, very interesting people on that list. And that is it for me and for us here. A big thank you for this season, and we will see you again for season 4, titled The Accounting. Bye bye.